Well, Rado, having done your last session before the Phoenix game, how are the boys shaping fitness-wise? Will you have a full squad to select from against the Phoenix?
Yes, we do have a full squad. Obviously, we're only missing Florin, but he has joined the training with the squad, so he's maybe a few weeks away from being ready for selection. Everyone else is ready to go.
Mm. It's been a while since you actually, well, since the boys had to fly across the Tasman for a game. I think it was pre-pandemic last time that it happens. I mean, have you had to do anything different than you normally do on an away trip?
Yeah, well, this is a different way trip because we fly first thing in the morning, so it was very early morning. We had to be we are dropping off our cars at 5:30. The meeting at the airport was at 6. So it's very early morning. Don't forget it was New Year's Eve yesterday, and so it was a little bit crazy, to be honest. But yeah, we had a training, just finished training. The boys in good spirit. They were having good fun, good laugh, and it looks like we are ready for the game tomorrow.
Mm. Looking back briefly at the Central Coast Mariners game, good way to bounce back and get a win after a crazy couple of weeks. What did the analysis that you undertook show from that game? What did you like? What didn't you like?
Look, I was very proud of our first half, the way we controlled the game. Unfortunately, the second half was not as under control as the first half. So that's something that we spoke about. We worked on this week. Probably the similarity to our next opponent. They play similar way as Central Coast Mariners. So there's not many things that we need to change. And then the only other thing is obviously they have a little bit different attacking structure, so we have to look at that. And had a good look at them from our game in round 4, and they were excellent in second half. So that's again something that we need to think about, that we don't drop off after very strong first half.
Because since that game that you played against them, their foreign contingent has really begun to find their feet as well. What have you made of the Knicks foreign brigade this season?
Oh, look, they have excellent players, and not just for their foreigners, but for a lot of foreigners when they come to the A League. It takes some time for them to adjust, and then you can really see how good they are after several weeks, and they are shining, shining light for them at the moment. So it's going to be a tough game for us, but we are ready for it.
And Ron, I just wanted to ask, a lot of coaches recently have been asked about the parity that exists in the A-League men this season. All the teams are very close together on points, but a lot of their answers talk about how there's no standout team in the competition except Melbourne City. And you guys are always held up as the exception to the parity. Internally at the club, how do you continue to maintain your standards of excellence, consistent excellence, throughout what has now been 4 odd years of success?
Look, it's the culture that has been developed at the club. The thorough analysis of who we are bringing, who we are signing. The coaching philosophy, the training methodology that has been in line for as you said 4 or 5 years, and all that helps for that long term progression and long term success. And we are very proud at the club that we have maintained that level of consistency. And obviously every coach is trying to improve what has already been done. And I'm no different to the coaches before me. So I'm trying to improve and see if we can progress even further.
Because you've coached the A-League women's side as well, and the A-League women's side has been consistently successful ever since they entered the competition as well. Are those standards that you're seeing in the men's department, they're the same in the women's department? It's like one club mentality?
Absolutely. We've got a leadership with Michael Petrillo as a sporting director. who is in control of all those little things. And you can see from the results and from the performances that hasn't made too many mistakes so far in his recruitment and in the way that the club wants to play.
Awesome. There we go.
Given that we've just been talking about the A-League women's team, it seems like a good point to build off. Obviously, the last game that you guys played was part of a double header. The men obviously had drink break every 15 minutes in that game, and the women also had multiple drinks breaks as well. Given the fact that we play in an Australian summer, like from your perspective, where would you stand on double headers at the moment? Given because the reason I imagine the reason the men's game would not have been pushed back was because you still had to play the women's game. But it's almost seems ridiculous that you've got to play with drink breaks every 15 minutes because it's 36 degrees outside at 6 o'clock.
Look, I don't know what to tell you. It's obviously the scheduling for the TV. Obviously, if men's if there was an Adelaide game in Adelaide at 8:15, so obviously our game had to start before that game. Until we can have two games at the same time, I think it's pointless to talk about it. From women's point of view, I think they enjoy playing on the big stadiums. You could see that the game is a little bit better than when they're playing in suburbs. But thank God in Melbourne we haven't got too many hot days. There was maybe one or two every year, but after that, we're going to have a lot of mild days. I mean, I think yesterday Brisbane played 2 p.m. kickoff over there. It was 27, 28 degrees. But that's what we want. We want our all women's games to be televised. We want to promote our game, and I thought, I watched that game, and it was a fantastic game. It was a lot of goals. It was exciting, So the heat of the day or heat of the midday almost did not influence the quality of the game, that we saw yesterday.
Fair enough, and I guess. Obviously you're in Wellington at the moment. I imagine that the weather conditions there would be a lot cooler. How do you adjust from going from 36 degrees to 20, 25, something like that? Like how much of an adjustment do you have to make there?
No, it's much easier to go from hotter to cooler than from cooler to hotter. So there's hardly no need for any adjustment. And in Melbourne we had several very cold weeks leading into that hot weekend. So from training point of view, from running point of view, from sprinting point of view, it's much easier to do all that when it's cooler. And I don't think that tomorrow the weather will be much different than what it is here today, and it's quite pleasant, to be honest.
One last one from me. The City squad is, from the men's perspective, has struggled against Wellington this season. You had the 2-1 loss in the Australia Cup. There was the 2-2 draw earlier on in the season. Obviously, you weren't in charge for both of those. I'm assuming you've studied the tape. You've had a look at what happened in those games. How do you stop something like that from happening again?
Look, it's it's a tough one. I can only speak about what we are planning to do tomorrow. But as I said, we had a similar, I won't say a problem, but the level of performance first half and second half against Central Coast Mariners was not at the same level, and I think that was the same against Wellington in round 4, where we dominated. We were 2-0 up, and then suddenly it was, they came back very strong and ended up 2-2. So, as I said, this is something that we looked at, we spoke about it, and now hopefully we can deliver a little bit longer performance than just 45 minutes.
Rado, I just wanted to give you a quick question. Just wondering if you and the club are considering doing any business in the transfer market now that the January transfer window is opened.
No, no plans at the moment. Our roster is full, as I said, and our visa player Florin, he is almost ready to play. So there's no need for any business.